today's objective is measures of center. You maybe have heard of measures of central tendency. I'm just going to shorten it to measures of center. And it's three things are the measures of center: the mean, median, and mode. And I know this is not the first time that you've heard of mean, median, mode, so this shouldn't be too long. The mean is the average, where you add them all up and then divide by how many you have. The median is the middle of the data when you order them and pick the middle. And the mode is the number that appears the most often. And so these three values are called the measure of center because they describe the center of the data. They describe how the data usually is, or it estimates, it basically describes the data and how that data acts, the center of it, whether it's the middle or the average or the mode. So here's an example. You have data, and I've ordered it already. So let's go through and find the mean, median, mode. The average, we'd have to add them up. So 8 plus 5 plus 9 plus 3, 1, 2, 4, 8, 9, 2, 7, 2. And we get 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 60 over 12 is, I think, 5. And yes, so the mean would be 5. So you'd look at this data, and that would be the average is 5. So the median is the middle number. So I've ordered them, and you have to go from smallest to biggest. And I have 2 in the middle. So when you have 2 in the middle, you have to add those together and divide by 2. And in the middle of 4 and 5 would be 4.5. That's the middle. And then the mode is the number that occurs the most. And when you look at it, we have 3 2s. So 2 would be the mode. And as you can see, the measures of center, the mean and median describe the center better than the mode does in this example. But there are times when we want to use the mode. So let's go to the next one. Okay, example 1, find the mean, median, mode. So here's our data. We're going to order it. And we get 81, 86, 86, 90, and 92. So I can see that here's the median. 86 is the median. The mode is 86 also because there's 2 86s. And the mean, I need to add them up. So you add them up on your calculator. And I'm going to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to divide by 5, and I get 87. So the mean, median, and mode, 86 and 87. All three of those are a very good measure of the center. They describe the center of the data. So the center is about 86, 87. All right, here's another example. All right, so let's order the data. All right, I've ordered the data, so now it's easy for me to see the median and the mode. So the mode is, what's the mode? There is no mode, none, because none of the numbers repeat. Here is the median, and the mean, we have to add them up. Divide by 5, and we get 87.6. So I have, there is no mode because none of the numbers repeat. There's no number that occurs the most. The median is 90, and the mean is 87.6. So that describes the center of the data. All right, so remember 86 and remember 90 because we're going to use those again. 86 and 90. Okay, example 2, test scores. Here's student A and student B. And the data that we did in the previous examples is this data. here are their test scores from 5 different tests. Test scores from 5 different tests. Except 92, 92. I don't think it was 92, 92. Alright, it was 90. So actually B is different. But the question says, which statement is true about the medians? So maybe it's a little different. The medians. So we need to find the median. So we have 86 right here. And we have 92. 86 and 92, those are the medians. So the question says, which statement is true about the median? So let's look. Median of A is 5 points higher than B. So let's look at it. What is the difference of points between 86 and 92? You can subtract, and the difference is 6 points. And which one's higher? A or B is higher? B is 6 points higher than A. B is higher. So median of A is 5 points higher. So it's not A. Not A. Median of B is 5 points higher. So the median of B is higher, but is it 5 points higher? No. Median of B is 6 points higher, and that's what we just said. So we're pretty sure it's C. Let's just check D. Median of A is equal. Well, they're definitely not equal. So we know that the answer is C. So the answer is C. That is how you are going to have multiple choice questions on the EOG. Okay? So here's where the new stuff might come in. When using measures of center to describe data, there are certain times when you use certain measures. So here are some guidelines. Picking a measure of center. You want to use the mean if there's no outlier, or all items should be similar. So when I say outlier, that might be a new word. Outlier means it's way bigger or smaller. Way bigger or smaller. And for example, let's say you're talking about kids in 7th grade. Kids in 7th grade generally are 12, 13, maybe 14. But if someone was in 7th grade and they were 17, that would be an outlier because that was way bigger. Or you hear about these kids who go to college when they're like 15 or 16, and everyone else in college is in their 20s. That's an outlier because it's way younger. So an outlier is like that number that's way bigger or way smaller. So if there's no outlier, use the mean. If there is an outlier, you would use the median. If there's an outlier or a possibility of one. So if there's an outlier, then you would use the median. No outlier, outlier. And then the mode is if it's non-numerical. Non-numerical could be like favorite color. So what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? What's your favorite movie? If your data is non-numerical, then you would use the mode. And that's when you're choosing the measure of the central. The measure of center. So let's do a few examples. Alright, example 3. Which measure of center is the most accurate estimation? So we have here, A. We took a survey of people's favorite pizza. And 7 people said pepperoni, 6 people said cheese, and 2 people said sausage. So which measure would we use to describe this data, mean, median, or mode? Well, the mean, how can you add up pepperoni plus cheese plus sausage? Like you can't add up pizza toppings. And you can't order pizza toppings. How would you order them from least to greatest? You cannot. So this would be mode because it's non-numerical. Pizza toppings are non-numerical, so you would use the mode. Over here, salaries. These are salaries that professional athletes get paid. $265,000, $291,000, $264,000, $2,100,000, $250,000. So was there a number in here that totally like jumped out at you and you were like, whoa, it should have been this number right here, 2 million. All these others are in the 200,000s, and all of a sudden you stick a 2 million in there? That is called an outlier. And if you have an outlier, the best measure to use is the median. So which measure is the most accurate representation? So the same type of thing. Which measure of center do we want to use? Daily high temperatures for week July 7 through 14. So daily high temperatures in North Carolina. So think about what North Carolina is like in July. Daily high temperatures. Do you think, well, first of all, is it non-numerical? No, it's numerical, so it's not going to be mode. What do we think the daily temperatures in North Carolina are for July? So we've lived here, most of us have lived here in North Carolina for a summer, and we know that July is hot. With the temperatures, do you think the temperatures are all going to be close together? Or do you think we're going to have a day where the temperature totally drops and is way cooler in July? And hopefully you're thinking the temperatures are going to all be about the same in July because the months of July and August are really, really hot and it doesn't ever get cool. So we're talking about the high temperatures of July. So there would not be an outlier, so we would use the mean. Because in July, if we looked at the record books and we looked at this week, July 7th through 14th, and we looked at the temperatures, they're all going to be very similar, very close together, and we're not going to have a huge outlier. So we would use the mean temperatures. And that's the last one. So tomorrow in class, we're going to practice measures of center, mean, median, and mode, and work with them in our statistics.